Is it on now? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Long-term unemployment, which is defined by the Bureau of Labor Statistics as durations of 6 months or more, and very long-term unemployment, which I'm going to define as unemployment that's lasted 12 months or more, or it could be 18 months or more, these generate serious and long-lasting harm to millions of individuals today and to the economy. The scarring effects upon the economic, mental, and physical health of long-term unemployed workers and their families is well documented. We know that many of the very long-term unemployed eventually leave the labor force permanently, and some of those join the disability rolls. Very long-term unemployment consequently generates adverse effects upon the Treasury and upon the capacity of the economy to grow in the long run. The surprising continuing growth of long-term and very long-term unemployment well into the recovery and in the face of repeated extensions of emergency benefits up to 99 weeks in some states poses questions for UI benefit policy. Have these extensions themselves kept long-term unemployed workers from accepting job offers? Can we expect the economic recovery to eventually reduce the number of very long-term unemployed without further interventions? According to best credible research studies, the answer to the first question is clearly no. In past recessions, when more modest extensions of time limits on benefits were themselves extended, unemployed workers maybe stayed out of work or stayed on the UI rolls only 1 or 2 more weeks. In the current environment, where there's more than about 5 job searches for every job opening, the effect is going to be even smaller. The adverse effect of extending benefits beyond 99 weeks is also going to be small. That's because the very long-term unemployed are the least likely to receive job offers. They're the least preferred by employers of all those who apply for jobs. And this very long-term unemployed group, thus, will be the last group to benefit from an economic recovery. Will the economic recovery be strong enough to bring down the number of very long-term unemployed workers? That's not the opinion of most economists of all political stripes and of the administration. We need programs such as relief for the states, relief for teachers facing layoff, and they're in fact called for on a very large scale. Absent such policies, unemployment is going to decline only very slowly. So the argument for immediately renewing emergency benefits as well as extending recipient limits beyond 99 weeks is especially compelling. So I would add is the case for direct job creation programs such as Representative Miller's bill or the STETA programs that I remember in the 1970s. I want to spend the rest of my presentation on why unemployment rates, short-term and long, rose so fast in the recession, more than was predicted, and why especially the long-term rate has continued to go up. And then I'll discuss some proposals that would address these directly. The unemployment rate rose above 10% through the recession. Most people had forecast 8%. That's because the economy experiences more layoffs, or rather the labor market is experiencing higher levels of layoffs for a given decline in economic output than it used to in the past. This didn't start in the current Great Recession. It actually started sometime in the 1980s. Why did it start? Why has that happened? I think it's mainly because companies have increasingly become concerned with short-term share prices, Wall Street, and what will boost their prices what will boost profits and share prices in the short run. The Wall Street now regards layoff announcements as a positive news. It used to regard them in the 70s as bad news. So that when a company announces layoffs, the share price goes up. That means that layoffs are done excessively compared to what would be optimal, and there's overshooting. It's also the case that more and more firms have more and more of their workers are short-term workers, and the commitment to those workers is much weaker than it once was. Unfortunately, the UI system has some role in creating this picture. It's not just Wall Street orientation. So what is that role, and how could it be changed? Well, basically, the experience rating property of the UI tax is designed to counteract those effects of greater layoff by penalizing firms that have higher layoff rates. But it's an incomplete system, and it's very limited because firms max out on the tax rate quite quickly, and they can then also don't have to pay a tax above the ceiling on the tax, which in many states is still $7,000 to $14,000. A lot of states have begun to increase that. So my proposal is that the UI, the experience system should be reformed to be fully experience rated with a higher base wage in the tax. This will eliminate the current inequity where firms that don't do excessive churning of their workforce subsidize those who do. That's the system that we have now. I also, of course, would stand for modernization of the UI system along the lines that's already in the Recovery Act, but it's happening very slowly and incompletely. It needs to go into all the 50 states and implemented much more rapidly, my home state of California included. I also have in my written testimony some remarks about expanding the short-term compensation program, which is scandalously underutilized, even though it's very popular among employers who use it. Most don't know about it. It should be extended to all 50 states, publicized, and it should and could be with a tax credit, a federal tax credit, actually create jobs, not just maintain the same number of jobs, but have more with fewer layoffs. As regards long-lasting unemployment, long-term unemployment, I think part of the reason for that, I'm almost done, is that is the very length of the recession itself, and the adverse effects on the long-term unemployed mean that we really do have to target programs for them. Besides extending the 99-week limit, I would redirect some of the funds that already exist in the Recovery Act to the very long-term unemployed, which are for training, and say that, well, and this has been given to community colleges, say in California, and that money should be, in part, half of it perhaps used to provide stipends for the very long-term unemployed so they can go back to school. They're the ones who are least able to do that. And I also think the TANF Emergency Fund, which has highly subsidized jobs, should be expanded. And again, there, if we could give priority to those who are very long-term unemployed to get those jobs, not let employers choose anyone who's been unemployed, and that kind of targeting would help to reduce the problems of the long-term unemployed. These proposals that I've put together are designed not to be huge ticket items, because I know there's a lot of concern. I don't share the concern about the deficit, but it's important to separate what can be done without spending a lot of money from what will require a lot of money. Thank you for the extra time.